Japan is one of the most popular destinations for trip for anyone around the world. I guess this is because Japan has offered you so many things to satisfy your demand, such as food and sightseeing. Nowadays, due to the currency exchange rate, you can enjoy more than before, especially for things you want to spend the money for. However, for Muslims who wish to come to Japan has some issue. Those are mainly related to the food. Yes, Japan has totally different food culture from which you have in your country, and those are something which may make you hesitate to come to Japan. Frankly saying, it is way too difficult to avoid 100% haram food if you pick up unconsciously at any place. However, after watching this video till the end, you will develop knowledge about food in Japan and hopefully it will help you to avoid haram ingredients better than before. Keep in mind, there's no 100% guarantee unless you take food with halal logo or eat at halal restaurant. Unfortunately, the supply of halal food in Japan is still limited, so that you need to learn and understand those tips to protect yourself. So for this video, I will share you the 5 tips you should know to avoid haram ingredients as much as you can when you are in Japan. Number 1. Need to understand Japanese food culture. As I said at the beginning, Japan has totally different food culture compared with Muslim countries. In Islam, there is a deep connection between food and religion, so that Muslim people may think it is same in Japan. We have 2 main religions in Japan, which are Buddhism and Shinto. You may be surprised to hear those religions never strict what we can eat. I think the only things related to the religion that surprise you is sake. In Shinto, sake, which is strictly haram for you, is valued since ancient times as something pure and something that brings you closer to the god. That's why you see sake barrels at many of shrines in Japan. Don't worry, it's just decoration and nothing inside. The most haram things for you is pork. Unfortunately, pork is a common meat which we consume any places in Japan. I will share you one interesting food culture episode regarding pork in Japan. In Tokyo, people prefer eating pork, whereas in the Kansai region, beef is the main food for meat. So when people eat curry rice in Tokyo, it basically comes with pork, while in Kansai, it is beef curry rice. The most popular food which come with pork are tonkotsu ramen and tonkatsu. Pork in Japanese is buta and also called ton. So you need to avoid the food if it has a 2 word. Number 2. No halal logo, no halal, but could be Muslim friendly. Japanese food for sure attracts you so much as its packaging design and Japanese quality. I've got so many messages on my Instagram asking like, is this halal, every day. However, I always say no halal logo, no halal for Japanese food. This is something you don't want to hear or cannot accept, but this is my answer based on my Japanese food manufacturer knowledge and experience of obtaining Japanese halal certification. However, I also add another sentence. It could be Muslim friendly. I guess this will reassure you somehow, but the story is not over, so hear me out. You must understand that rules for food production in your country and in Japan are not the same. For example, many of the additives used in the Japanese food are unique to Japan, and in fact, some of them are actually not allowed to export to EU and US. From a macro perspective, many companies in many countries have adopted the Codex, the global standard rules, but Japan did not need to do so due to the size of its own market. From these backgrounds, I'll never say that product is halal if it does not have a halal logo. However, it is also true that there are Muslim-friendly products as well. It's product without haram ingredients and without the possibility of contamination. These are, for example, udon and soba noodles. If the product has not been seasoned or specially processed, the only ingredients are wheat flour, salt, and buckwheat flour. There are other foods that can be called Muslim friendly, but ingredients should always be checked. I can also tell you that the simpler it is, the more likely it is. Number 3. Don't fully trust Google Lens. I heard that many people use Google Lens for translation when they come to Japan. Of course, Japanese language, kanji, hiragana, katakana, are really headache for you. Yes, Google Lens will translate them into your language and help you understand more. However, keep in mind that it's just translation. It doesn't tell all the ingredients the product have. Japanese labeling rules are really complicated and only a few employees of food manufacturers understand the rule. The consumers are almost 100% unaware of them. I will share you one example for you. That's carryover. Carryover refers to the additives that are exempt from labeling according to food labeling standard law, as they are contained in raw materials but have no effect in the food in which they are used in trace amount. An example is soy sauce, which is used in the rice crackers. Preservatives are sometimes added to soy sauce, but as they do not remain in the finished product and are not effective as a preservative, they are deemed to be carryover and therefore no label. Once again, keep in mind that Google Lens is just helping translation, and the more it has ingredient, the more the risk of haram ingredient may contain. Number 4. Check restaurant website for allergen info. This tips is something most of you guys may not know. Most of major restaurant chain stores have a website and they disclose allergen info. As I said earlier, you cannot 100% avoid haram ingredients, but these tips will help you to understand what is in the food you are about to eat. Unfortunately, they don't disclose all the ingredients of food as its company secret. However, allergen info is something to know about ingredients for alternative way to check. So I will briefly explain how food allergy labeling operates in Japan. Processed food packed in the boxes, plastic bag, cans, bottles, PET bottles or other containers are required to be labeled in accordance with the food labeling law if allergen substances are included in the ingredients above a certain amount. The only 7 allergen substances that must be labeled on the container packed processed food are egg, milk, wheat, prawns, crabs, peanuts, and buckwheat. These 7 are called specified raw materials. 21 other items such as salmon roe and oranges are recommended to be labeled as much as possible because they are equivalent to specified raw materials. However, there is no labeling obligation for these 21 items. For alcoholic beverages, there is currently no allergen labeling obligation because it is extremely difficult to determine whether symptoms caused by the consumption of alcoholic beverages are due to reactions caused by the action alcohol or not. There is no obligation for the food that are not packed, such as side dishes, lunchbox, bread, and confectionery made in a retail outlet regarding allergen substances. There's also no obligations for food and drinks served in a restaurant. When food is prepared and served, it is difficult to carry out strict allergen testing and is therefore exempt from the food labeling law. It is important to know that even if a food or menu items are allergen friendly, it is only a voluntary measure by the restaurant. Alright, let's check the website for McDonald's Japan. McDonald's allergy information covers the 7 items which are required to be labeled under the Japanese food labeling standard, and the 21 items for which labeling is recommended. Changes in the specification of raw materials and contamination in the manufacturing and cooking process are reflected from time to time, and the latest information is always provided, so please check the information each time you use the website. McDonald's Japan uses forms such as circle and triangle to provide allergen information in an easy to understand manner. So for today, I searched for products that did not contain chicken, beef, pork, and gelatin among the 28 allergens. Here's the result. Unfortunately for the burgers, no products seem to be able to say that it is safe to consume. These are the products that may cross-contamination during the process and cooking process. As mentioned earlier, alcohol information is not covered by allergy labeling. You need to contact the manufacturer for this, but remember that it is also difficult to be 100% sure. Number 5. Avoid these major ingredients which are written on the packaging. As I already explained, Japan operates under its own food labeling rules and there are no labeling requirement for trace amount, so avoiding 100% haram ingredient is difficult to seek in product other than halal certified product. However, you may face the situation that you have limited access of halal and even Muslim-friendly food in Japan. In these cases, it is recommended that you better avoid purchasing product with these letters on the packaging. Yes, these words need no explanation maybe because it's too common for you guys, right? Those are all about pork. For gelatin, shortening, and emulsifier, you may see ones with non-meat origin, ones such as soybean and fish, but most of them are not telling the origin of ingredients, so I recommend you to avoid them unless it tells detail. These are about alcohol and alcoholic beverages. For sake, no need to talk here, but for some food which contain alcohol need to be explained here. In Japan, some food are put alcohol such as ethanol to prevent fermentation such as miso and vinegars. The definition of rice vinegars understand just standard is at least 40 grams of rice used per 1 liter of vinegar. However, to make 1 liter of vinegar from the rice alone, at least 120 grams of rice is required. This 80 grams difference is made possible by industrial alcohol. Ethanol is used because adding alcohol eliminates the process of making sake from the rice, which means the less rice is used, making it cheaper and more mass production. However, for halal rice vinegar, they make it with rice only so that it can be halal. I think most people know this fact, but I'll tell you just in case. Except for halal and Muslim-friendly restaurants, meat subs in Japan is almost exclusively no halal. If you want to buy halal meat, you will need to buy it from certain online store or supermarket. Alright, those are 5 tips to avoid haram ingredients as much as possible when you visit Japan. Thank you for listening till the end, and I hope your next trip to Japan is something better than before with my videos. See you soon.